Hi everyone from Brisbane, well, from Toowoomba in Queensland. Oh, excuse me. I'm just gonna have some water. Oh, in Queensland, Australia. So it's morning here. I think it's evening there for you guys. It's lovely to be here this morning. Thank you for inviting me to join in, Joni. It's really great.
Thanks for being
So my name's Faye, Hartley Youmens, and I'm a hypnotherapist and a coach here in Toowoomba. And I'm very, very privileged to work with clubs, with schools, with individuals, and with business as well, in fact, in all areas of peak performance. So really just working to help people harness that power of their mind so that they can get the results they want to get and help them achieve their goals. I'm also a swim mom. I have that in common with Joni. So I have a real soft spot for swimmers. Of course, my 14-year-old boy, he's a aspiring Olympian, actually. I also have a special place in my heart for swim parents, knowing many of the trials and tribulations that they go through. I think swimming is a beautiful sport. I love it, but it's also quite a brutal sport as well, with many highs and lows. Yeah. So, with Jude's permission, I might be referring back to him a little today as we're chatting, just as an example, because it's all very real for me. And the things that I'm talking about today, I'm seeing Jude experience as his mother. I'm, really, yeah, having that experience, and it's difficult. So I'm speaking from the heart today, and I'm hoping this is going to resonate with a lot of you and that you'll be able to get something out of this. So my topic that I'm talking about today is motivation, but more specifically in the times that we're finding ourselves in right now. I'm talking about how do we really manage this idea of motivation at this time, at this very challenging time? And we're hearing all the same words, aren't we? That it's unprecedented, that it's challenging. And I always sometimes get a sense that the more we say words, they can sometimes almost lose their power a little bit. But let us not forget that these really are, like I say to my children at the moment, like, this is what's happening now. These are things that you'll be telling your grandchildren about one day. This has never happened. And to an extent as well, we're all just trying to find our way, right? We're all just trying to find the best way to move through this. So I think I'm just going to start off talking about Jude as a way to move forward through this, because up until recently, up until a few weeks ago, in fact, Jude was training very, very hard in the pool because he had school state qualifiers coming up. Actually, that would have been this weekend. That would have been now. We would have been there at the pool watching. So that's a massive deal for Jude and for lots of people here. We're in full swim season in Australia now, this first term. So he would have been training very hard for state qualifiers and then subsequently leading up into nationals in August. So he had a very strong focus. There was something there that was very concrete that he was training and he was moving towards. So like many of you out there, whether you're a swimmer, a runner, whether you're playing at some type of team sport, I am imagining that you all had things that you were looking forward to. If it was training for an upcoming meet, if it was nationals, if there was some type of state or regional thing happening. So these things, and especially for Jude, they were the things that were allowing him, or not even allowing him, sort of pushing him forward, right? They were the things that were getting him out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's starting to get a little bit cooler in the mornings here, so that's getting a little bit more difficult. So those were the things that were getting him up. It was the thing where he was thinking about that gold. He won gold at nationals last year, so he was so amped. Yeah, he was really excited to like build on that success. And you know, in terms of the school, yeah, getting the accolades from the school, like why not? That's what he's working hard for, and those are the sort of prizes at the end of the day. So there was something very tangible that he was working towards, that was driving him forward. And now there isn't. So now there is no specific goal at all. And there is also no training schedule at all. The pool has been closed for two weeks here. So, I mean, I think I will just say, I know that you're all watching from different parts of the world. Where we are at in Australia, just to qualify that a little bit, is that right now we are in, the schools have closed. Most of the, well, all of the pools have closed. All of the gyms have closed. So it's highly suggested we stay at home and self-isolate, but we're not in complete lockdown, as in we have police patrolling and we can't leave the house at all. So what we can do still at the moment is go to the park, for instance, and exercise, as long as, if it's out of your family units, you're keeping that social distancing. So yeah, so he's sitting, like many of you are now, without those things to work towards, without that training schedule. And I suppose there's a sense of just thinking, well, what do I do now? What happens next? What should I be doing? Is this a holiday? Should I just be kicking back and attaching my thumbs to that PlayStation control or YouTube and just diving straight in there? One hand on the remote, the other hand in the fridge, because knowing how much swimmers eat, and we're seeing a lot of that. So I'll keep reminding Jude, you know, you're not doing the training you're doing. Funnily enough, one of Jude's colleagues, one of his swim mates, actually, down on the Gold Coast, he's already put on, I think Jude said yesterday, 7 kgs in the last couple of weeks, right? So it is something to be aware of, that, yeah, things are changing. Everything's different. So that's it. But, you know, like I say to Jude, and I say to the people that I talk to, that how do we get control, and how can we feel empowered when we feel like so many things have been taken away, right? Is where we can come back to this idea of, okay, I'm going to choose what I do. I'm going to actually choose what happens next, because we have this choice. And, you know, there is that choice of just hitting the couch and, you know, binge watching Netflix and what have you, and thinking, this is great, I'm on holiday, this is awesome. But then, you know, you might get a little bit bored after that marathon binge watching Netflix session, and maybe you start to feel a little bit like, oh, uncomfortable after eating all of those snacks and food. And then you might decide, hey, maybe there's another choice, and maybe there's a different way, right? And let's do that. I'm just going to refer back to Jude again, because, oh my goodness, yesterday one of his teammates got hold of him, that he swims with, and she's a fantastic swimmer. She actually swims for New Zealand, and although she lives in Australia, that sounds a bit strange, but she swims for New Zealand. And she said, hey Jude, like, I'm just going stir crazy here. Let's go and meet up at the park. We have, where I live, it's known as the Garden City. We have these beautiful parks. So Queen's Park is the biggest park in town, and so we decided to go as a family. We'd go for a walk, and Jude was going to go and do some runs and sprints with his friend. And they were keeping the social distance, so there they were, running together but not together, sort of side by side. Oh, it was quite sweet, actually. And they did, I think they did a 3K, and then they did some hill sprints together, and then we all sat down on the grass, spaced apart, sort of speaking quite loudly to each other, as you do. And it was really interesting to speak to her and understand, especially I told her I was doing this talk today, and she's just finding it so tough because not having that thing to train. You know, we had age nationals coming up. So obviously that's been cancelled, and these kids have been working so hard for it. So she was really struggling. And what we spoke about there was the idea of choice. And I think getting very clear on, what do you want the outcome to be? What do you want the outcome to be for yourself when we get to the end of this? And I know I'm speaking in this idea of very generalized terms when I say the end, because when is that going to be? We don't even know. And this is what makes it like quite difficult to understand and negotiate, right? Because we can't just go, right, for the next 2 months, that's it. I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of 2 months, I'm going to pop out of this and it's going to be like this. So this is where this idea of having that mental strength and mental resilience is quite honestly and really going to be the thing that sees you through. Okay. So that's the first thing I think that is very important to get clear of in terms of motivation, in terms of goals, is getting really clear on how do you want things to look at the other side. Because when we were having this conversation in the park, and it felt quite heavy and it felt quite sad, because let's be honest, some conversations just are that at the moment. This is what it is. It is what it is. And the conversation sort of around that, you know, some people are not going to come back from this. There will be some athletes, there will be some swimmers that won't come back. They won't, you know, if we're talking, I don't know what is being, information has been given to you in the States. It's difficult with all the, it's very difficult to know what you know in terms of the information we're getting from different channels. But over here, they're talking about, you know, not going back to school for 6 months. And then one thinks, well, if they're not going back to school for 6 months, that means the pool's not going to be open for 6 months. Now, you guys know, if there's any swimmers out there, what 6 months not being in the pool looks like. That is a whole career, life-changing span of time not to be swimming. So, yeah, let's be real about that. We don't know. So, didn't want to be the real downer here today at all, but just keeping a sense of reality on what is happening. But then again, how I always get empowered and how I always get excited about things is, I think I have this one sentence that I'll share with you, and it came to me probably really intensely in the middle of last year. And that question is, what can I do? And when I think of that in my head, I have that can, and it's in big flashing letters. So it's like, what can I do? And it's a really good thing to come back to. I do it all the time. If I find there's a block in business, or if things aren't going the way I want them to go, I see that big flashing can. What can I do? And that's what I want you guys to ask yourself. Right, this is what's happening, but hey, what can I do? And so I want to say to you that, you know, you always have this choice. And if you're fancying maybe, hey, and you know what, play a bit of PlayStation, watch those funny things on YouTube, that's all good, but just don't get sucked in and don't live there. Yeah. So imagine thinking of a different way of coming out of this, whenever that time is, feeling mentally stronger, than you went in. How about that? That would be awesome, right? That would be amazing. Feeling happy in yourself, because we'll come to why that's so important, focusing on those things, and feeling stronger. Okay, so if we had to think about, right, that's it, what can I do? There are certain things I can do to make sure that I can come out the other side of this stronger, healthier, happier, and mentally prepared to do whatever needs to be done then. because even though, like I've said, we're facing this idea of, you know, not being able to train for all this amount of time, and what does that mean? And, you know, Jude was going, oh, in terms of his stroke, and in terms of I want this and I'll lose that, and blah, blah, blah. We're all on this, it's been evened out, yeah, because everyone, unless you're lucky enough to have like a training pool in your back garden, most of us will be coming out on this even playing field. Things have been evened out. And yeah, we're all going to watch how that pans out with interest. But it will be clear when we come out the other side what choices you've made. Yeah, it is the great equalizer. Yep, I love that. That's so true. It is going to be. Yeah, out of this realm, I'm thinking it's a great equalizer in many areas, right? What's happening. So thinking about what that choice is, that when you're coming out of this, what do you want things to look like? So I'm now going to get quite technical and share a slide. I hope I can do that. Oh, there we go. I've become the, oh, okay. So I'm just looking at this idea, just, is it working? Yay! I myself become the Zoom professional in the past week. Baptism of fire. So looking at that, I just want this to be a sort of an introduction to the types of motivation that we can have. So what makes you want to play sport? Please feel free to comment. So to win medals, that's probably not one of the first things that you thought of when you started, right? But playing in the best team, yeah, to have those accolades and to be playing in a good team, to enjoy that feeling of winning. That's interesting, because I don't think I know anyone who doesn't like the feeling of winning. That's the good feeling, right? We like that. To have a strong, fit body, to keep yourself fit, you know, healthy body, healthy mind. I know my son is currently worrying about his six-pack and what might happen to that if he doesn't keep up the training. Yeah. I'm sure he's probably not the only one. To reach your full potential. Excuse me, all the talking I've been doing. To really reach your full potential, to impress someone, perhaps. That could be, you know, that could be a boy or a girl, could be a teacher, could be your parents even, or it could be someone, you know, from a school. Maybe it's about getting a scholarship. Or maybe even to just have that sense of being free and totally in the moment. Like, how amazing is that? I was playing netball excuse me, up until quite recently, and only playing obviously at quite a low league level. And I don't know how many Americans are really familiar with netball. It's quite, yeah, I know, because I have a South African friend who lives in Miami now, and she's like, I'd love to play netball. They don't do it over here. But in Australia, it's pretty big. Imagine basketball without the bouncing of the balls, but just the throwing of the balls. A little bit similar. And so the point being that when I'm playing that, I have those 40 minutes where I don't think about anything else, because I'm just completely present. I don't have to think to be present. I don't have to try to be mindful. It just is, right? So yeah, that is a great feeling, and it is something. That's what makes me want to play netball, for instance. Okay, so getting a scholarship we spoke about, just because you love it. And that's probably a reason why a lot of people start in the sport that they're in, because they love it. And hopefully you still do love it. Hopefully you still are having that type of motivation. So don't want to get too wrapped into the extrinsic and intrinsic and what have you, but I think it's quite important to maybe just take a look at this. So quite simply, when we're talking about like an intrinsic motivation, yes, we're talking about something that's coming from the inside. You're doing things like we just were looking at there for the fun of it, because you love it. Because it allows you to feel like you are reaching your potential. And when you're reaching your potential, you really are experiencing and having those feelings of self-worth, of excitement, self-mastery. Yes, all of those things. Now, looking at the recognition, more external things. Yeah, we all like that. That's good. Praise, sure. Money, sometimes for some people, that can be a good motivator. Medals, those shiny things. 100%, definitely. Getting records, that's such a great feeling. We'd only just got to the regional stages before everything got cancelled here, and Jude had got those regional records, and that's sort of what he'd set himself at the regional, because he didn't really have any competition in his region, so he was setting himself that idea that he wanted to break some records as his motivator for time. So yes, they're important prizes. Yay, who doesn't love that? So looking at that list there, though, I think it becomes quite clear that the things that I've just spoken about that perhaps aren't there in, I would say, in their old form, but I don't really think they're there in any form, to be honest. Those meets coming up, the medals, the opportunity to get picked for certain teams. So a lot of those extrinsic or external, if you like, motivators are just not there in the same way. They're just actually not there in any way. And I understand, let's just say they've been put on hold, rather. Let's say they've been put on hold for now. And I understand, I really do, that it's disappointing and it's sad, and we're all feeling a little bit of those emotions right now. And you know what? That's completely normal and completely fine, because if you weren't feeling like that, that would be strange, and that would be something to be worrying about, right? So no, and we hear, this is another thing, I don't know, in Australia we have hashtag we're all in this together. And I think as a sort of the sporting community, as a swimming community, it's true, we're all in this together as well, right? So just, that's nice to know what you're experiencing, your colleagues in the sport around the world are really experiencing that same thing. So we've said, okay, a lot of those extrinsic motivators maybe aren't there in the same way, or not there at all. So that idea of intrinsic motivation is really interesting to me, because like we said, when we're talking about intrinsic motivation, it's more about what's happening inside. Now, you'll probably relate that most people have a combination of intrinsic and extrinsic motivators. There are different types of people that are more motivated by external, and people that are more motivated by internal, which is a whole other thing, which is not for today. However, what's interesting for us to think about is that, you know what, those intrinsic motivators are still there, and you can still utilize them. Okay, those are things that cannot be taken away from you, whatever happens. And that's really pretty cool, hey? Like, those things are still there. So when you're thinking about intrinsic motivation, even though I understand, believe me, I do understand, as lots of you are competitive sports people, and you have to be at that level. So there is that sense of competition, and those, extrinsic motivators as being very competitive were important. But there's also these great benefits to an intrinsic motivation, and in your own time you can even delve into this a little bit further, do a bit of googling on this, listen to the information on it. You'll find it very interesting, because what we do know is that when we can develop and harness that real intrinsic motivation that comes from inside you, it's long lasting and it's self-sustaining. And so I think when we're talking about the things that you can do, this is what I'm referring to. Yeah. So thinking about your why. Yeah. So we're having a lot more time on our hands now, and I find it quite exciting. I find it exciting that this is an opportunity for you, and maybe in a way that you never imagined it would present itself 100%, but it still is an opportunity for you to do things differently. So thinking about the why, remembering why you love it, remembering what you love about that sport, really allowing yourself to think back if you need to. What was that thing that, got you hooked? What's the best part of now being involved in the sport that you're involved in? How does it make you feel? Because this is the important stuff. This is the important stuff. Remembering how good it feels to set yourself a challenge and to complete it. And we're going to look at that next, but you can still certainly be setting yourself challenge and completing it and still having those intrinsic feelings of achieving something, of that worth. And that's exciting. It is. So even though some of those old motivators may have shifted, may have disappeared, in fact, there's an opportunity, like I said, opportunity here to really get creative with some new goals. Yes? Really start thinking, I'm going to keep saying it, what can flashing lights, I do. Okay, so yeah, obviously the first thing that you can do is set some new goals that you can work towards, that you can complete here. And where's the opportunity in that? Now, I'm not sure what the situation is where you're living at the moment in your little part of the world. Like I said, I know here we can still have the opportunity to leave the house, to go for a run or a walk, go for a bike ride. Those all are still doable things here. So, for example, Jude with his swimming, he's really keen to keep that cardio fitness up. Okay, so that's an important thing for him. So he has started running every morning. His dad rides his bike and Jude runs along with him, and he's doing that. So he's doing that cross training, and he's setting himself some goals in terms of times. He's got the old fitness tracker where you can see how long you're running for, your times, and you can keep a little score of that. So he's written some goals that he wants to achieve in terms of his running. He's not a runner. Like many swimmers, he can do a good cross country or a long distance because he's got that good cardio. That's a sort of benefit. But, he's not someone that's not so much his thing. But that's a great opportunity for cross training. If you can get out and you can go running, you can do that. And if running is not your thing, well, there's your goal. Make running your thing for a while. There's the challenge. I know Joni's smiling because she's a runner and she loves it. And yeah, even riding your bike, going for a ride on the bike. Now, this is another thing. We use this word social distancing. Well, this is the word we're using in Australia. I don't know if it's the same overseas. So we talk about, excuse me. So we talking about social distancing or social isolation. But you know what I think and what I believe is that even though we have to have this social distancing, isolation, however you want to term it, we can still have connection, okay? And even more connection, because personally, I found that I've connected more with people in the last 2 weeks than I have, and I love it. Oh, it makes me tear up. It really does, because I've had the opportunity to connect with, I've got family and friends all over the world. I've been talking to my best friend in South Africa like every second day, and both being very busy, we can go months without talking. We're talking all the time now. It's amazing. It's wonderful. I'm talking to my brother. I'm talking to my cousins. I've set up I've got family in the UK, so I've set up this family Zoom call. And why I'm telling you that is because you know, there's going to be the mental health issues that are going to come up from this isolation as well. And it's so important to remember that you can stay connected, and it's very important to stay connected, and use that to stay connected with your teammates. You know, keep that team camaraderie going. It's so important, and we have this opportunity with all the technology. I don't know if Zoom is a cool thing that the kids get down with. I keep telling Jude to set up a Zoom call for him and his friends, and he keeps sort of just shaking his head at me going, I don't know. But they're doing other things. They're doing the Snap, which I don't know. I think there's something about Snapchat that anyone who's over the age of 40 just can't understand how it works. Because I've tried and I'm just very confused by it all. How does that snap thing work? But look, I know it's a thing and I know it does work. So utilize whatever it is, if you're having the group snaps or if you're watching, whatever. But I think when we're talking about this, getting creative with new goals, challenge a buddy like Jude and his friends. And so in the park yesterday, what they decided now was, right, let's get everyone on board. Let's reach out to the team that they, you know, their squad that they normally train with. Let's make a time every day. Because remember, they're used to training like 3 hours plus a day. You know, that's a lot. So they've now decided they're going to meet up, I think, at least once a day in the park. They do their runs, they do their sprints, and now I know Swam has put out a, I think it's like an exercise regime to follow. Yeah. Okay, so that's what they're going to be utilising in the park. So they're still within the whole social distancing thing, still being safe, yeah, sticking to the rules, but they still have that opportunity to say, come on, we have to be there, let's get there. You know, you can't let anyone down. And because they're all so competitive, it's about setting up some challenges within that as well. So that's going to be great. And get creative, like make it fun. Get those challenges. You know, you can go onto Pinterest, and I know because I've got about 5 that I'm currently doing, and you can get that plank challenge. Let's do a plank challenge every day, guys. Let's film ourselves and let's see who's going to win. Who's going to win that? Yeah. Let's look at doing that squat challenge. That's one of the ones I'm doing with my friends, actually. And yeah, you know, I'm going to come out with buns of steel by the end of this. So so really, like, just get creative. You've got the time to get creative now, to think about it, and you know, it makes you feel good. And like I said, this whole idea of our mental health at the moment, man, it's so important. It is so important, because it's going to get more difficult. So all of these things that make us laugh, that we find amusing, that we can share with each other, they just, oh man, they're going to help you so much. So really using what you have. This is so funny. I'll tell you a story. Yesterday after the run, Jude was feeling, oh, like, right, that's it. And he came home and he kept asking me to go and buy one of these 10 kg plates, you know, the round weight plates. And I said, oh, no, it's fine. We've got some hand weights. We'll just use that. And he was like, oh, come on, Mum, I want one of those plates. And I don't know if it's the same in the States, but actually, along with toilet roll being sold out, there's all the gym stuff has gone out of the shops as well now. Yeah. So anyway, so Jude, talking about use your initiative, I came downstairs and he'd taken his rucksack and he'd piled the hand weights and whatever into it. I don't even know what was in there in the end. And he'd been doing all of this work with this rucksack with all of these weights on his back. So I don't even know if that was a good thing or not, but he was using his initiative and he was, you know, trying to think of things. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm all right with that. So yeah, do that. Use your initiative. Now, this meditation challenge idea, I just love this. I couldn't love it more, because when I keep talking back to this idea of mental health, of mental resilience, this is really one way that you can develop this muscle in here. And I know, like, I can work with people often, and it's that idea of, oh, I don't have the time. I don't have the time for that 10 minutes of meditation or that 15 minutes to listen to the recording. I'm just so busy. And yeah, I'm not even pointing fingers, because even I'll say that sometimes. So this idea now that, guess what, you have the time to do this one thing, and in a way that makes sense and works for you. So if you want to get onto Insight Timer and find something there, if you want to reach out to to someone that you're working with in this area to make a recording for you, whatever it is, if you're someone that just likes to sit with your own thoughts, not everyone likes guided meditations, but you're just going to sit quietly and use that 10 minutes a day for mental rehearsal, thinking about, this is what I'm going to look like at the end of this. This is what I'm going to feel like at the end of this, and really experience that. Thinking about how you want your body to look and to feel, and how you want your mind to be feeling and working for you when we're coming out at the end of this. Yeah. So I think, yeah, that's really important. And just thinking, like, when we do come out the other side, because there will be another side, and you've come out of that where you're like, wow, this meditation, we know that I could sit here for half an hour and talk about every study ever done on meditation, and but we know that this stuff works. This is the real deal. You can completely change your game by doing this mental rehearsal, this meditation, because it's going to give you mental resilience and mental strength. And that's something that is going to just take you, it's going to help you through this period. But then when you get to the other side and you've got that now, you've developed that muscle is strong, and you can just use that for yourself whenever you need it. Like, that's exciting, and that's pretty amazing thing to think about there. Oh, oopsie. Sorry, give finger happy. Okay, so there we are. We've decided, right, I'm doing the plank challenge. I'm going to be doing that weights. I'm running this time of day. I'm hooking up with my teammates, either virtually or together in a way that we're allowed to do without getting arrested. That's awesome. But, I just still don't really feel like it. I just can't be. It's a hard one. So, what's even more draining though is when you talk about things and you don't do them. I don't know if you've had that experience when you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, I really should have gone for a run. I really should go for a run today, or I should even go for a walk, or I should have done those burpees that were part of my plan, or that's another one, burpee challenge. That would be very good. And so you're sitting around thinking, oh, I just should have done that, and man, and then you might tell your friend or your dad or your mum, oh, I should have gone for that run this morning. And can you feel the energy to that? It's just draining. Even saying it is draining, and thinking about it is draining. It sucks that energy out of you, right? So it's sucking the energy out of you, and we don't want that. So we also know, and the research tells us, that action creates motivation. Okay, so get up off your bum and start doing something. Just getting up, do something, do anything. Yes, because action is creating energy. And we know this. No one ever gets up and goes for a run and then comes home and goes, oh man, that was such a mistake. Well, I'd say 99% of the time, unless maybe you've got an injury and you shouldn't be running for some reason, but we don't normally do that. We normally come back and go, oh, I'm so glad I did that. I feel great. No one goes for a workout and then goes, oh, that was the worst mistake. I never should have set my alarm, got up early and gone for a workout. That was so stupid of me. No, we don't say that, right? We do it, and then we always say, oh, that feels great. I feel really good. And So just talking about also little hacks here to help you, get into that space, is that we can look at things, and what we do as human beings is we look at something that we have to do and we just go, oh, it's too big. It's huge. It's overwhelming. I can't get started on that. It's too much. And so then we just avoid it and we go back to playing Xbox. But if we think about, okay, let's just imagine the very, very tiniest, smallest thing I can do towards that. I actually run my whole life by this, to be honest, because it works. And just saying, well, okay, what's the first smallest step I could take to go and exercise tomorrow? Now, writing things down is a very good idea. If anyone's interested in how amazing it is to, I don't know if we can share anything after this, maybe I can share some resources, but if anyone's read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, I strongly recommend you do that. It's amazing, The Science of Habits. That was my book of the year last year. And so, yeah, and so taking our first smallest step, which may be writing it down. Okay, this is my schedule for this week. Monday, I'm going to do this at this time. So the key to that is writing something down, writing the time that you're going to do it, exactly what you're going to be doing and for how long. Okay. And there is a whole heap of research that tells us that is the best thing for sticking to something, for habit formation. Better than any sort of motivational speeches, reading anything motivational. It's the writing it down that really works. And then what's the first smallest step? Maybe it's writing it down. Maybe it's just finding your trainers. Maybe it's looking for your workout gear and putting it on the chair so you know where it is in the morning. Maybe it's finding your water bottle so that you know you've got your water bottle. It's making things as easy as it can be. And then what's the next step? And the next step after that. And then stepping outside your door is the next step. And then I'm just going to go for a walk. And then when you're walking, you might think, this is great. I might just go for a little jog instead. So really thinking about breaking things down to the next step. And then just briefly, while we're talking about that, still thinking about when we have an idea and there's something we want to do, what we do as human beings, I don't know why, is that we plonk ourselves in the middle of the task and then go, ugh, I'm not doing that. I really want to wash my car. Now I have the time to do it. It's actually one of my tasks for today. But when I think about washing my car, I think about, I'm there with the vacuum and I'm getting in those really nasty little places to get into, and it's a struggle and I hate doing that bit of it. And then I just go, no, I'm not doing that. And then I'll find something else to do. But if we let ourselves think about how great it is at the end of the task. This is an old classic NLP technique, actually. So then we go, you know what? When I've washed my car, my shiny red car looks beautiful and clean, and when I'm sitting in it, it just smells nice and everything's neat and tidy. And I'm a Virgo, so I really like that. And then I think, I'm so looking forward to washing my car. When you think about exercising and working out, don't think about doing that hill run where my legs are burning so much I hardly feel like I can walk. But you think about afterwards how good you feel, that energy rushing around your body, that you achieve that goal that you set out to achieve and you feel awesome. So always focusing on how do I feel at the end of that task? How do I feel once I've completed that? Yeah. And then allow that to drive you forward. Okay, so action is great, action is good, but feelings are everything. Okay, so did you know, for example, that we are, I think it was 200% more productive when we're happy? So it's important, along with all of these things, is doing those things that are fostering happiness, doing those things that are allowing you to feel good about yourself, and whatever that is for you. And we're also less likely to procrastinate when we're in that good state of mind. You know, think about it. Let these things roll out in your life. Think about how they apply. So as I said, there's really a need now to really nurture and foster and really grow those positive feelings. And that's doing whatever that is for you that makes that happen. Because we know that everything comes back to how we feel, right? It's all about how we feel. So when we feel good, we just know everything is easier. Everything is easier when we feel good. So I want you to be kind and to be gentle and to be your own best friend and your own cheering squad over this next little while, because you really need it. So yeah, be kind and gentle with everyone, but most importantly, to be kind and gentle with yourself. So I don't know how I'm going for time. I've just blur that out. I was going to do a little bit of tapping, but do I have time for that, Joni? I'm not seeing that. I just.
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, and I don't think, Shalini, we've never done tapping before, right? Or I've done it.
So I know a little bit of tapping, actually. My dad brought it up to me. He just started, like, he gave me a book, and I was like, nothing I was an adolescent, so I was like a teenager. I was like, nothing my dad says means anything. I don't know what this tapping is. But I haven't really registered how the benefits are, because I had such a, like, visceral response at the beginning. So, like, I'm open to anything.
Yeah, the benefits are amazing. So we'll let you continue with that. We are recording it, so even if people were expecting to get off right at 7.
Okay, well, I'll just run because
we're gonna have more people watching the recorded version than live because
sure.
it's so
yeah, absolutely. So I'll just put that chat thing. Hang on, I'll just stop sharing. Okay. So I use tapping is something that I love. I use it with, I'd probably say, about 80% of my clients, even those ones that look at me that have never heard of tapping. And then, you know, it is a little bit of a strange thing for people to do if they have no previous knowledge of it at all. But the results I find are just can be really, really great and so worthwhile. And it's such an easy technique. And personally, it's something that I use. I've got a history of managing anxiety. And for me, this is something that I have two go-tos, and it's tapping and 7-Eleven breathing. Those are my things that I use if ever I'm just starting to feel a little bit and or nervous or a little bit out of control. I use it with my kids. My 8-year-old will say to me, can we do the tapping? She'll ask to sit and do it with me because she likes how it feels. And, I think it's really a useful thing to know. So you can go as deep into this. There's some amazing books out there if you have the opportunity. You can go onto YouTube, and like all things, you'll find a million variations of tapping, and that can all be quite confusing. But I always like to keep things quite simple. So I'm going to give you the Faye Hartley Youmens variation of EFT, which is, I do like to keep things simple. And
I'm bored with you. I love EFT. I think it's great, and I use it a lot.
And do you, Joni? Yeah, I do. And because I've seen the results. I've seen people come into my office and they sit down and they are like, actually, I'll just tell you one quick story because it's beautiful. I had a woman come in one time and she was so anxious. She had to bring her daughter in with her to come and see me. This was quite some years ago. Very, very nervous. And we did some tapping with her, and she went from literally this shaking, nervous wreck to laughing. It's the biggest shift I've ever seen. And after her session, she was so overwhelmed with what had happened to her. She went off to go and become a hypnotherapist and a coach, and to study tapping, and she just basically changed her whole life from having that one experience of EFT. Like, how wonderful is that?
That's a beautiful story.
It is, isn't it? Okay, so with talking about tapping, it really is just this idea of energy meridians in the body. So I explain it as, if you imagine when you go for acupuncture, if anyone's ever experienced that, it is the idea that we know of putting needles in certain places in the body, with the idea that there are, when we have issues, if it's an emotional issue or a physical issue, they cause blockages in these energy meridians that we have running through the body. Okay, this is very much a 2-minute description of what this is. So we have energy meridians running through the body. When we are having an emotional issue or even a physical issue, it's the idea that it's causing a blockage there. By tapping on certain points around the body, it allows us to release that blockage. Okay, so the more specific you can get, I say this, I believe it's quite an intuitive process. And so what we're going to do today will be a little bit more generic, will be a little bit more general, because I'm just doing it for the masses. But for instance, when you're doing it for yourself, you can really knuckle down and make it as specific. It might be, even though today I just feel like I don't want to get out of bed, if that's how you feel that day. Or even though today I just feel like, you know, my brother's driving me mad. Whatever it is, you can make it as specific to you as possible. So keeping that in mind, that it's a little bit generic for this one, we're going to start off. And so this is known as the karate point here, this bit here, for obvious reasons. Okay, so that's that karate point there. And so we always start off the process by tapping on this point. And then I'm just going to talk you through, I might take my glasses off because even though I can't see with them, they get in the way. So we start off with our setup statement. And the setup statement is really the issue that is presenting itself for you at that time. Okay, and then I'm just going to talk you through tapping through certain points around the body. So people do this a little bit differently. For the case of brevity today, I'm just going to do 2 rounds of tapping through the problem and 2 rounds of releasing the problem. Okay, so we're going to start off tapping here. And when we're tapping, I like to tap quite hard because I sort of like how it feels. But you don't want to be tapping hard enough to be injuring yourself, but just whatever feels comfortable for you is right. And just repeating after me, even though I'm struggling to find motivation at the moment.
Even though I am struggling to find motivation at the moment.
I still deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Love and accept myself.
Even though I'm struggling to find that light at the end of the tunnel.
Even though I'm struggling to find that light at the end of the tunnel.
I still deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Love and accept myself.
Okay. Our last setup statement is, even though I just feel disappointed.
Even though I just feel disappointed.
I still deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Love and accept myself.
Okay, so now we start tapping on the top of the head. So it's almost where your crown is, if you sort of had a little, and tapping with the just the points of the bottom, the sort of little bottoms of your fingers there. I sort of go around in that area like this. Okay, and then we're just repeating those setup statements. So we might just say, I'm just struggling to find motivation.
I'm struggling to find motivation.
And then we're tapping on the front of the beginning of your eyebrow here. So with the 2 fingers on the face, you can do both sides if you like, or you can just do one, whatever you feel. And then we just repeat the setup statements. I just feel so disappointed right now.
I just feel so disappointed right now.
And I'm just struggling to get motivated.
I'm struggling to get motivated.
Because everything's so different now. On the bone underneath the eye, sorry. Yeah, everything's so different now. That's right. And competition seems so far away.
Competition feels so far away.
And I just feel disappointed. My chin.
I just feel disappointed.
That's right. I'm struggling to get motivated. Just under the chest here, under the collarbone. There, that's right.
I'm struggling to get motivated.
Struggling to get motivated. And then the last point is under the arm. If you're a woman, where your bra strap would be. And if you're a man, just imagine you're wearing a bra and that's where your bra strap would be. I'm just struggling to get motivated.
I'm just struggling to get motivated.
And I'm just sad and disappointed. Back up to side in the hand.
I'm sad and disappointed.
And I'm struggling.
I'm struggling.
I'm struggling to get motivated.
I'm struggling to get motivated.
And to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
To see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Everything feels a bit hard right now.
Everything feels a little bit hard right now.
And I'm disappointed.
I'm disappointed.
I feel a bit sad.
Feel a little bit sad.
And I'm struggling with motivation.
I'm struggling with motivation.
It feels a bit hard right now.
Feels a little bit hard right now.
Okay. There we go. But what if I could let that go?
What if I could let that go?
I could just release those feelings.
I could release those feelings.
I'd feel so much better.
Feel so much better.
If I could just let it go.
I could just let it go.
And I can let it go.
I can let it go.
And let it go.
And let it go.
And I can feel so much better.
I can feel so much better.
As I let it go.
As I let it go.
I can feel so much better.
I could feel so much better.
I can feel better already.
I can already feel better.
I feel better.
I feel better.
As I let it go.
As I let it go.
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 Let it go.
I let it go.
Let it go.
I let it go.
I let it go.
That feels so good to let it go.
It feels so good to let it go.
Just let it go.
Let it go.
Just let it go.
Just let it go.
Let's let it go.
Can't hold it back anymore.
That's right. So just let that go.
Let it go.
Oh, yeah, let it go. And let it go.
Let it go.
And just taking just grabbing your wrist, yeah, and giving yourself a nice squeeze. I just want you to close your eyes for a moment to take a lovely cleansing breath. Hold it for a moment. And as you give a big exhale, we're saying the word peace.
Peace.
Peace. And then opening up. And there we go. How was that?
I've never done that before. I've done a very small version, smaller than that.
Yeah.
And I think it was only on the hand. I don't think I actually did anything with my face. And I actually struggled. So I was out of the water since December. I had a bulging disc in my cervical spine. So,
oh, no, really?
Yeah. So I was really nervous because I started feeling neurologically close to that, but it wasn't anything dangerous. It was actually really impressive. Like all of those, I'm not sure if it's flow, like as in like I'm focusing on something else and I'm able to talk with myself through some things. Like I think that was really cool. Like, and then we started singing like Frozen, so that was like so monumentally different.
I always feel inclined to do that at the end. I don't know. I feel it, because I like, even when I do that now, I just feel, it's like I just feel sort of, and so, you know, when you're doing that yourself, you can really make it more intuitive, because when you're tapping through, it's not, I know some people stick very, they're quite regimental and they just stick to their set up statements. But I think if you are being intuitive about the process, and then it's about what's coming up for you, like I just feel sad, or I feel angry, or I'm frustrated, or I'm whatever it is, and we're, you know, connecting with that, and then the feeling of letting it go is, it's really good.
That was great. That was great. I love how it goes through a series of emotions.
If I may add.
Yeah, I changed from motivation to something else, but I had it in my mind. So that was great.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for letting me share today.
Thank you so much, from coming all the way from Australia and learning.
Well, thank you.
And it sounds like we started out with identity and expanding our identities. It sounds like you expanded your Zoom abilities, and so now you can say, I am someone who has increased my ability to use Zoom, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I had, like, the beginning of the week started off, I do some group, we're on week 8 of a group call, a group that I do that's normally face-to-face, which is a collaboration with someone else. And so we did that beginning of that on Monday was the group call, and then I was a guest speaker on something else on Tuesday night, so there was that, and then having clients. So by Thursday I was feeling quite confident now. Thank you, Zoom.
Well, let's talk again soon, because and please let Jude know that I said hello, and that there's no reason that he can't find the time to Zoom with me now, right?
Oh, he'd love that. He would love that.
Set something up on a regular basis until and things change, and they will. So
that would be unreal. He would, and I'm just sending all love out to everyone today, because I know we're seeing what's happening in the States, you know, a lot, and you know, we're a little bit, I want to say, behind the curve, because we are in Australia still a little bit behind from what's happening in the UK and the US, which I know things have moved further along. So I know everyone is it's a lot is dealing with their own things. So lots of love and strength to everyone.
Thank you. I think it's great that we all have each other, and we can reach out this way and numerous other ways. And that's important. You know, we talked about that very beginning this morning. Let's say it out loud, whatever it is. Let's say it out loud. Say it to someone. Say it to yourself. But get it out, and let's do something with it, because there's so many things that we can do to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely, Joan. It's so important. Like I said, we can still have that connection, and focusing the beautiful, the kindness, and I'm focusing on that, the amazing kindness and connection, and the things that people are doing for each other, and how it's making neighbors, even that have never spoken, talk and connect and help. And, you know, all of these, there's like a lot of beauty and love and kindness that is coming out, and we always have the choice, right, to can allow ourselves to focus on that.
That's right. Well, ladies, we are the ones wrapping it up here after starting at 9 a.m. this morning. So here we are.
Wow.
10 hours later. Yes, it's been just a hugely successful day. And for those of you who are still watching live, thank you so much for being here, and for everyone who was here today. I know a lot of people are going to go back and catch some of the sessions, the recorded sessions, because obviously they didn't have 10 hours to hang out like we did. Chelina and I have been here the whole day, and it's been wonderful, actually. We've learned so much, and there's so much I want to go back and go over. And I made notes about, you know, everybody who spoke and what I appreciated that. So you guys will be hearing from me and what I really liked about what you said, and the things I learned. And I'm so grateful that we were able to put this team of people together, 10 people, to put this information out there for anyone in sports or even outside of sports, but specifically to show our love for sports. And interestingly enough, wrapping this up, the three of us having such a love and involvement in the sport of swimming. Yeah. And I have an appreciation for so many of my athletes in other sports as well. But again, having that connection in the very beginning as a parent, and just what the sport has done for my family and what my family has also done for the sport. We're so happy that we were able to give back. The thing that we like to do in the Nighty household is wherever we go and venture, and maybe we have to leave that place or it's time to move on, we like to leave that place better than we found it, and we do our best to try. So,
yeah, that's beautiful, Joni. Yeah.
That's how we do it. So I think it's time to say goodbye and look forward to putting together this recorded version. And I just don't know that there's anything else we could have done better today. I'm
looking forward to listening to all of it over the coming days.
Yes.
Great.
And let's stay in touch, all of us. I know we will.
Yes.
And see what else we might be able to brainstorm and put together for other people right now. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Joni, and lovely to meet you, Selena.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
You I'm going to end
Take
this.
care.
Recording can start doing its thing. It will be long. Take care. Stay safe.
Bye, Joni. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.